Before we begin recording MIDI in Ableton, we'll first need to know how to load software instruments. So let's take a look at how to load instruments and instrument presets. So I've just got a default set open, and I'm going to hit my Tab key to move us over into Arrangement View where we've been working. So I've selected the Instruments category, and here we see all of the instruments that are included with Ableton Live Suite. And I'm going to load one of those. And I want to point out, first of all, that the folder that we see here at the top is not just a folder with the name of that instrument. That's actually a default preset for that device. So for example, if I want to load Wavetable and I want a very basic preset that I can start with and then I can modify, I can just load the actual name here at the top. And I can do that a number of different ways. For example, I can just select that, and then with this track selected, if I hit my return key, it loads that instrument and that default preset onto the track. You'll notice that it's also renamed the track Wavetable. And let me delete that. So if I click select the title bar of that instrument and hit my delete key, that will get rid of that. Now another way that I can load that would be to just double click it. Again, that loads it on the selected track. So if I wanted to change this and save this as a different default preset because I wanted to have a different set of starting parameters, I could make a change. For example, let me change the wave shape here up to a sawtooth waveform. And now if I go up and I right click on the title bar, notice that there's an option here for save as default preset. And that will replace the default preset with whatever you've changed the parameters here in Wavetable. All right, so I'm going to delete that again. And let's drill down a little bit further. I'm going to open up the Wavetable category, and now I've got subcategories or subfolders for different kinds of sounds or presets. And I'm going to go into the pad category, and I'm going to select one of these. Let's go with this AI strings. Now, if I want to audition that, remember that you can click the preview button, and if that's enabled when you click a preset, you'll automatically hear it. If it's not enabled, you can hit your right arrow key, and that will cause the preset to sound. And then you can use your up and down arrow keys to navigate to other sounds. So for example, if I come down here to Analog Soft Pad, hit my right arrow key. Okay, I'm looking for something like that. Now, another way that I can load this preset would be to click select the preset and drag and drop it anywhere on the track. Now, I want to point out also that I can put that on any MIDI track, but I can't put that on an audio track. So I'll go back up to this top track and I'll let go, and we see that it loads it. And let me get rid of that one more time, because the other thing that I can do would be to select this preset and I can drag and drop it down in here into device view. Now that's the device view for the selected track. So I let go and we see that. So we're ready to go. Now, if I want to be able to audition this, I've either got to have the record button enabled on the track, or I need to be in input monitoring on the track. But with the record button enabled, I can hit a chord on my keyboard, and I can hear that that wavetable has been loaded and the preset that I wanted has been loaded as well. Now, let's say I work with this a little bit and I decide that it's not the sound that I thought it was. So a couple of ways that I can load other presets would be to simply select a different one over here in that category and double click on it, and that will replace the preset with the one that I have now selected. Another way that I could do this would be to hit this second button from the upper right hand corner. That's called the hot swap button. When you do that, that jumps us into the category where that preset came from, and I can navigate to other presets. So for example, I could go back up to Analog Soft Pad and I could double click on that, and that loads that. So I can try it out. Okay, yep, so I like that one, so I want to go with that. So I want to get out of hot swap mode, and I can do that by clicking on the X button here, or at the top of the browser, I can also click on the X button here where it says swapping instrument. And that gets me out of hot swap mode. Now, let's say that I make a change to this, like I change the resonance and I change the cutoff frequency. and I want to save this as a new preset. Now I can go into the upper right-hand corner and I can click the Save Preset button here. And that takes me down into the user library, into the presets folder, into the instrument subfolder, into the wavetable subfolder, and all the way down into the pad subfolder. And now I can go ahead and I can give that a new name like My Soft Pad and hit my return key. And I've saved those changes as a new preset without changing the original presets that were in the wavetable folder. All right, so let's take a look at one other thing. I'm going to close that all up and let's go into the plugins category. Remember, this is where we have all of our third-party plugins, so non-Ableton content. And I'm going to go down to the X for Records category there, and I'm going to go and load Serum. Now, please note that if you click the disclosure triangle next to the instrument, there are no presets there because Ableton can't see the third-party presets. We have to get at those through the third-party interface. So I'm going to select the second MIDI track and I'm going to double-click that to load it. And notice that it loaded this shape down here in Device View. This is the Ableton third-party device plugin shape. But we've also got this third-party interface that's open. Now, if this was to get closed for some reason, just note that you can click on this wrench-shaped button here, which is the Show Hide Plugin window, and that will reopen the third-party interface. Now, if I want to load a preset or save a preset for this instrument, I'm going to have to look into the third-party information and find out how you load presets and save presets for that device. So now that we know how to select and load instruments, we're almost ready to begin recording MIDI. Check out the next video where we'll establish a pre-recording routine.